Now, let me ask you something. What is the most powerful food in the world? You might think of rice, or bread, or meat. But today, our story is about something humble, something small, something brown and lumpy that grows in the dark, under the ground. People once called it ugly. People once called it food for pigs. People were even afraid that it could kill them. And yet, this little thing would go on to save millions of lives. It would help change the whole world. This is the story of the potato. And it is far more surprising than you might think. So stay with me. Let us dig down, deep into the earth, and discover where this story truly begins. Our story begins far away, high in the mountains of South America. These mountains are called the Andes. The Andes are a great chain of mountains, stretching down the western side of the continent. Up there, the air is thin and cold. The wind is sharp. Very few plants can grow in such a hard place. But thousands of years ago, the people who lived in these mountains found something wonderful. Deep in the cold ground, a small plant was growing. Under the soil, it made round lumps, full of food and energy. These lumps were the first potatoes. For the mountain people, the potato was a gift. It could grow where almost nothing else could. It grew high up, in the cold, in the thin mountain air. The people learned to plant it, to grow it, and to store it. The potato gave them life. Life in the high mountains was very hard. The ground was steep and rocky. Frost could come even in the growing season. Many crops simply died in the cold, but the potato was tough. It survived where softer plants could not. So the mountain people built their whole way of life around it. They carved flat fields into the steep mountainsides, like giant green steps. And in these fields, they grew their precious potatoes. Over many centuries, a great civilization grew in these mountains. A civilization is a large, organized group of people, with cities, leaders, and rich traditions. These people were the Inca. The Inca built a powerful empire high among the clouds, and the potato was the food at the very heart of it. The potato was so important that it shaped their whole lives. They even measured time by how long it took to cook one. They told stories about it. They buried potatoes with their dead as food for the next world. To these people, the potato was not just dinner, it was life itself. The mountain people did not grow just one kind of potato. They grew hundreds of different kinds, potatoes of many colors, red ones, purple ones, yellow ones, and blue ones. They even found a clever way to keep their potatoes for years. They left them out in the cold mountain nights to freeze. Then they dried them in the sun. They would even walk on the potatoes with their feet to press the water out. The result was a light, dry food that could be stored for years. In good years, this saved food fed them through the bad ones. It was a clever and beautiful idea. Nothing was wasted. Can you imagine that? Thousands of years ago, high in the mountains, people were already turning this small plant into a treasure. For thousands of years, the potato stayed hidden in these mountains. The rest of the world did not even know it existed. But that was about to change. In the 1500s, ships arrived from across the ocean. They carried Spanish soldiers and explorers. They came from Europe, searching for gold and riches. They conquered the Inca Empire. They took its gold, they took its silver, and without quite understanding it, they took something far more valuable. They took the potato. The Spanish carried the potato across the sea, all the way back to Europe. It was a long and difficult journey. The potato sat in the dark belly of the ship for weeks, crossing the wide and stormy sea. At first, few people paid it any attention. There was so much gold and silver to think about. Who would care about a small, dirty vegetable? And when this strange new plant arrived, the people of Europe did not know what to think of it. And here is where our story takes a surprising turn. The people of Europe did not welcome the potato. They did not trust it. In fact, many of them feared it. Why? Well, the potato looked strange to them. It was lumpy and dirty. It grew in the dark, under the ground, which seemed wrong and even a little frightening. The plant belonged to a family of plants called the nightshade family, and some plants in this family really are poisonous, so people believed the potato might be poisonous too. There was another reason. The potato was not written about in their old holy books. To some people, this meant it was not a proper food. They thought it was unclean, a food that nobody should eat. So for many years, Europeans refused to eat the potato. Rich people thought it was ugly. They gave it to their pigs and farm animals. Poor people were afraid of it. Some even believed the potato could bring disease. Think about that for a moment. The food that would one day save millions of lives was once feared as something evil. In some places, people even blamed the potato for sickness. If someone fell ill, they pointed at the strange new plant. For about 200 years, the potato sat at the edge of European life. It was grown here and there, but rarely eaten by choice. The treasure of the Andes crossed the ocean, only to be pushed aside. But slowly, a few clever people began to see the truth. They understood that the potato was not evil at all. It was a kind of miracle. It was cheap. It was full of energy. And it could grow almost anywhere, even in poor soil. If only people would eat it, it could feed the hungry. The problem was simple. How do you make people want something they fear? In France, a man named Antoine Parmentier found a clever answer. Years before, Parmentier was a prisoner in another country during a war. In prison, he was fed potatoes, and he discovered that this feared food was actually healthy and good. When he returned to France, he made it his life's work to change people's minds. Parmentier had a brilliant trick. He planted a field of potatoes near Paris. Then he placed guards around the field, day and night. The people grew curious. They thought, this food must be very precious if it needs guards to protect it. At night, when the guards went away, people climbed into the field. They stole the potatoes to plant in their own gardens, and that was exactly what Parmentier wanted all along. Parmentier even held grand dinners, where every dish was made from potatoes. It is said that the Queen of France, Marie Antoinette, once wore potato flowers in her hair. He even served special potato meals to the king himself. If the king would eat it, then surely it was safe and good. Slowly, the potato was becoming fashionable. Slowly, the old fear began to fade. In other countries, leaders pushed the potato too. In the land that is now Germany, a king named Frederick ordered his people to plant it. He knew it could save them from hunger. Some say he used the very same trick, with guarded fields. Across Europe, one country after another, people finally began to eat the potato. Is it not strange to think about? Today, the potato is everywhere. It feels as ordinary as bread or water. But for hundreds of years, people had to be convinced, tricked, and gently pushed before they would even taste it. It is a reminder that even the best ideas can take a long time to be accepted. And once they started, everything changed. The potato turned out to be one of the best foods a poor family could have. A small piece of land could grow enough potatoes to feed a whole family. They were filling. They gave people the strength to work, and they kept well through the long, cold winters. Across Europe, fewer people went hungry. Families grew larger and stronger. Towns and cities grew bigger. Some people believed the humble potato helped Europe's population grow faster than ever before. More food meant more children survived. More children meant bigger families, and bigger families meant stronger, growing nations. A food that was once feared had become a food that gave life. The potato had won. There was another reason the potato was so valuable. It was not just filling, it was also healthy. It carried vitamins that kept people strong and well. Sailors who ate potatoes did not fall sick as easily on long voyages. Armies discovered that soldiers could march and fight on a simple meal of potatoes. Step by step, the potato spread into almost every kitchen in Europe. But this is also a story with a hard and painful lesson, because depending on only one food can be very dangerous. And nowhere did the world learn this lesson more painfully than on a small green island called Ireland. Let us travel now to Ireland, a country to the west of Britain. By the 1800s, the people of Ireland loved the potato. In truth, they depended on it almost completely. Many poor Irish families ate little else. The potato was their breakfast, their lunch, and their dinner. It grew well in their land, and it kept them alive. But there was a hidden danger. Most of them grew only one kind of potato. And when a whole country depends on a single crop, a single disaster can destroy everything. That disaster came in the year 1845. A terrible plant disease arrived in Ireland. We call such a disease a blight. The blight attacked the potatoes in the fields. It turned them black and rotten in the ground. Almost overnight, the food of an entire nation was gone. What followed was one of the saddest chapters in history. It is known as the Great Famine. A famine is a time when there is not enough food and many people starve. For years, the potatoes failed again and again. The people had almost nothing to eat. Imagine a mother looking into an empty pot with hungry children beside her. Imagine whole villages, silent and starving. This was the daily life of millions of people. The smell of the rotten potatoes hung over the land. Hunger and sickness spread from house to house. About 1 million people died. 1 million. And around 2 million more left Ireland forever. They climbed onto crowded ships and sailed across the ocean. Many of them went to America, searching for a new life. But the journey was dangerous. The ships were old and crowded. So many people died on board that these ships earned a terrible name. People called them the coffin ships. Ireland lost a huge part of its people, and it would never quite be the same again. Even today, millions of people in America and around the world have Irish roots. Many can trace their family story back to those terrible years. They can trace it back to a small vegetable that failed. It is one of the great sorrows of history. It was a heartbreaking time, and it taught the world a hard truth. The potato could give life, but trusting only one food and nothing else could also lead to disaster. And yet, the story of the potato did not end in sorrow. Not at all. Today, the potato is one of the most important foods on the whole planet. It is grown in almost every country in the world. It grows in the mountains of South America. It grows in the fields of Europe. It grows on the farms of Asia and Africa. Billions of people eat it every single day. We have learned to cook it in 1,000 ways. We boil it. We bake it. We fry it. We turn it into so many of the foods that you love. The little brown lump that people once feared is now one of humanity's closest friends. Today, the potato is the most popular vegetable in many countries. People eat it as chips, as fries, as warm, comforting meals on cold days. Whole industries have grown around it. Farmers grow hundreds of millions of tons of potatoes every year. It is hard to imagine a world without it now. And the potato has traveled even further than that. It has gone higher than the Andes, higher than anyone in the old days could ever dream. Scientists have even grown potatoes in space, far above the Earth, to help feed astronauts. Can you believe it? The same plant once fed the mountain people thousands of years ago. One day, it may help feed humans among the stars. And here is something wonderful. Back in the Andes, where it all began, farmers still grow those hundreds of colorful potatoes today. The ancient treasure of the mountains has never been forgotten. And so, my friend, the journey of the potato comes gently to its close. Think about everything this small plant has lived through. It was loved in the mountains. It was feared in Europe. It was called ugly and useless. It survived rejection. It survived disaster. And in the end, it quietly became one of the most valuable foods on earth. Now, here is what I want you to remember. The potato grows in the dark, under the ground, where no one can see it. For a long time, nothing seems to happen. There is only soil and silence and patience. But under the surface, something powerful is growing. And one day, you dig into the earth and you find a treasure. Your English is growing in the very same way. Some days, my friend, it may feel like nothing is happening. You listen, you study, you try, and you cannot see any progress. You may even feel that your English is small or clumsy or not beautiful enough. But please believe me, under the surface, something is growing. Every word you learn is a seed in the dark. Every story you finish feeds your roots. Roots grow slowly, and they grow in silence, but they grow strong. You cannot always see it, but it is there. And one day, you will look back, and you will be amazed at how much has grown. So do not give up on the quiet days. Keep planting, keep listening, keep learning. This is Storytime English. Tell me, my friend, in the comments below, how do people in your country love to eat the potato? I would truly love to hear about it. There are many more stories waiting for you right here, and I will be here when you come back. Until next time, take care of yourself and never stop learning.